Are you not a lawyer and have you been asked to review legal documents? Well, it's a common ask in many organizations. Let's have a look at how Gen AI is now being widely used to review, to help interpret, also compare versions of legal documents and the risks associated with all of this. So the common ask is, can you review this? Why is this difficult? Well, we're not trained lawyers. The language is dense, the format's complex, and there's always this question of, okay, I can half understand this, but I don't understand, I can't see what is not there. I don't know the legalities of this, and really it's an awful long document and I've dozed off halfway through it. So this is obviously why we have lawyers, but also when we're asked to maybe have a first glance or a first review, how can we use Gen AI to help in this process? So what can it do? It can be used to help interpret language, look for gaps, look for standardization. Is this a standard document compared to others of its type, for instance? And do some pointers around that. It can also be used to compare versions. I found this hugely helpful. And caveat, look, around Gen AI, there's some fundamental risks. It's based on patterns that it's pulled. It is not a trained lawyer, and everybody knows about hallucinations. So you can get an AI agent and train it to say 2 + 2 = 5. So that's always based on what its understanding is the truth, and it's not a lawyer. And obviously, if this goes horribly wrong, it can have large implications. So there we go. That's me passing on the caveats to you. And of course, chat and everybody else says it at the bottom, chat can make mistakes. So that aside, let's go and jump in and have a look at some real life examples. Okay, so here I am in Co-pilot. What I've done is I've gone onto the internet and I've borrowed a legal contract. I think it's a consultancy supply agreement. There's tons of examples on the internet. Right, don't know who it's from, but hey, what we're going to do is ask Co-pilot, please could you review this legal document and summarize the aim of the contract, aim of the document, highlighting key points, compare it to other contracts of its type, and tell me if it looks standard, highlight any concerns or abnormal clauses that may require further attention. Let's see what it says. Okay, fine. Thank you. Right, here we go. That was quick, as ever. So it's now gone the aim of the contract and key points. So this is an interpretation tool. So this, you face with a large legal document and go, sorry, what is it? There we go, thank you very much. Oh, it's a consultancy agreement between the Santa Cruz County Regional Transportation Commission and a consultant. It's amazing what you can find on the internet. So it talks about scope, compensation, terms and conditions, insurance. Oh, there you go, I now know what it is. What it can then do, comparisons to standard contracts. Now this is really, really helpful if you've never seen what does an NDA even look like, for instance. So it's now pulled different documents and you can look at the sources if you do a deep dive. And it said, is this standard, is this abnormal? And this can highlight some areas which you might want to look in and for greater detail. Concerns are abnormal clauses. So this is really helpful. So in all these contracts, you're always looking for is there clarity and are there issues? So while this contract is generally standard, we've picked out a few points. Termination, 120 days. This is unusually long, for instance. Insurance, ownership, But as an example, you can see the power of using AI to help just review, interpret, look for any abnormalities, and that'll perhaps just help point further discussions. And then it's going to say, do you want to help? Can I help to sort this out? So there's one example. Another practical example I think is very powerful is, let's say you've been working on a document and there's tons of versions kicking around. Now, there are numerous tools to try and deal with this, and of course, like Word's got comparison and tracking and all these things. However, it can come a real problem and a risk that somehow something's changed and nobody's quite seen it. So what I've done here, this is the first go of this, so let's see. I've got a lorem ipsum generator. So lorem ipsum is standard text that you can use as a space fill. What I've done is made 3 versions of it, randomly generated, done some tweaks and font and size and structure, and plopped it in. And what I'm trying to show here is an example of if you had multiple versions of the same document. Now, there we go, super. So what I've asked it said, can you please compare these and summarize? Right, so what we've seen is version numbers, date, so it's pulled that off the text which I put in, length, font and styling, structural changes. So key observations, length increase, font. So just as an example, you can see that, and when you try it out with some of your documents, you know, when you get version 1, version 1.1, version 1.1 underscore final, yeah, that kind of thing. Have a look, and you can have a look, and you can actually use these tools to track the evolution. So there's 2 little examples of dealing with dense, complex documents and tracking changes, and of course understand the risks around this in your organization and always ask permission. Okay, there we go. Hope that was useful. Bye.